Hey everybody, this is Mark from We Climb, You Climb, and Nick and I were going to do a one of two-part series where we interview each other, and this way our climbers get to know a little bit more about us. So I have Nick here, and I'm going to be interviewing him today. So I'm going to start off with something super fun. Nick, tell me a fun fact about yourself.
So, fun fact, I am a big Yankee fan. Always have been, and I thank my dad for that. I'm going to give you more than one. I'm going to give you three. I am I'm a big reader now. I haven't always been a big reader, but I'm definitely a big reader. Um, it's just something I really enjoy to do now. Um, and third, and probably most important, I'm a dad of a newly turned 15-year-old daughter. And she actually went to the middle school that I was the principal of. That was really actually an awesome 3 years, at least for me. I don't know if she'd give you the same answer, but I loved it. So those are three facts.
Awesome, pretty cool, pretty cool. So here's another fun question: Who was your, or still is, your favorite action hero from when you were a kid?
Yeah, that's easy. I'm a big Batman fan. I love Batman. I think, it's actually odd. I didn't read comics when I was a kid, or not many. I wasn't really into them. But I guess it was, when that Batman movie came out. I guess that was in like 1989 with Michael Keaton. I really kind of fell in love with it. Shortly after that was the Batman animated series, um, which was just phenomenal. And I just love the Batman lore. Like, he's one of few real people. He's not an alien. Wasn't bitten by a crazy spider or whatever. I mean, he's just a normal person trying to make a difference in the world. And there's something about that, I think, that's always um, really, I wouldn't say resonated with me, but just something I really connected with. I just thought that was great. Good question.
Cool, cool. So real quick, so our audience knows, right? We know you're a principal. We know you're a leader. We know you're a business owner. We know you're a father. What else do they not possibly not know about yourself?
Well, let's see. I was a teacher. When I graduated from college, I became a teacher, and I taught mostly social studies and a couple of other kind of random subjects here or there. Did some reading classes and geography and debate and stuff like that. But um, during that time, I thought that I'd gone back to school and was going to get my counseling degree, which I did. And I landed in my leadership. This is important, I think, for people to hear that I didn't graduate college going, I'm going to be a principal. That's my goal in 20 years or whatever. And that's the journey of how things happen. I tried to get my counseling degree. I got it. I was going to become a counselor, went out for a position that I thought was a counselor. It was just happened to be called dean. And when I got the job, I realized that dean had nothing to do with counseling. It was more the discipline side. I did well in that role, and then I became a lead dean, and then I became an assistant to the principal. And so each step of the way, it was part of the leadership journey, right? It was like, oh, I'm doing this. I think that I do a pretty good job. I think I can take the next step. And in each step, I think if you had asked me, hey, Nick, as a teacher, would you ever want to be a dean of discipline? Oh, no way. Who would want to do all discipline all day long, right? And then as a dean, if you asked me, hey, do you want to be assistant to the principal and oversee the discipline for the entire school? Oh, who would want that? And so each way, each time along the way, if you ask me about assistant principal and then principal, the answer was always, no way. Who would want to do that? Until now, I'm a principal, and I've been principal for 5 years. And I think that's really been a part of the story, is that it's not just I'm determined to become principal in 20 years and I'm a robot and here's my plan on how to get there. I always have a plan, but somehow the plan never just fully works out the way that I originally planned, but I think it works out better.
Yeah, I think. Thanks for sharing that. I think that that's really interesting, and that is how a lot of our lives go. We may have a plan on where we want, or an objective, but it's not always a straight path there. And the maybe not the end goal, but somewhere along the line, it may not be what you thought it was going to be, but it's still going to be something good, and you have to embrace it and then continue to grow, just like a campaign. So pretty awesome.
I think, you know
Round.
what, one of the things, just to add in there, I think one of the things that I've learned over time, like I didn't recognize this until many years later, but when people would ask in like an interview when I was teaching, what do you want to do? My answer was always the same. I want to change the world. And I thought teaching was that avenue, which, you know, for me, it was an avenue, right, to change the world. But my goal has always been to change the world. It really wasn't to be a teacher or to be an assistant principal or to be a principal or to be, you know, to start a business on this. Like, you know, that wasn't the goal. The goal was really to change the world. So maybe I'm still continuing to live out that goal. It's just through different avenues or different, you know, venues, maybe, you know.
Yeah, so here's a good point for all of our listeners here today is you know to set that goal of what you want to do and ask yourself, am I doing that? Because you may not be in what you think the position is, but ask yourself, am I making the world a better place today? What did I do today to make the world a better place? How did I develop myself? How did I change other people's lives? Because what you think is the position to do that may not be the position for you. You may be able to accomplish that goal through other ways that may be even better fit for you and for other people. So Nick, I'm going to move on to some more serious questions. What is your favorite quote and why?
Um, so I have a couple. I definitely love quotes. So I would say there's two of them. One is from Martin Luther King, and it goes, I'm going to paraphrase it here, but darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. I think that's so powerful. It's such a like amazing quote from just an amazing historical figure, right? Saying that it's not the darkness that drives out the darkness in the morning. That's light is what does that, right? And so hate isn't going to drive out hate. Only love can do that. And it's just a real message about humanity, and it's something I think about all the time. I have it on my wall. I have it written around in my house. Obviously, I've basically memorized it. It's something I really want to live by. The other one is more of a personal connection. My dad, or our dad, for years, in basically every office I can remember him having, and he had many different offices, including a home office. Everywhere I can remember, he had an Einstein poster that said, and let's see if I can get it right. It's great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. And you know, forever was just a picture of Einstein with a quote behind our dad and in the office, and I would be in with him all the time. And you know, eventually I put it in some quotes in papers in high school and college. But then I really thought about it, about you know that people who are trying to change the world get pushback, you know, and that's the way it goes, right? Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. And so if you're looking to change the world, it's not easy, right? People are going to push back, and you have to fight for that. And so I think it's a great message, and it's also got a personal connection for me, just because it's our dad. And when he retired a year and a half ago, he gave me that poster. So I haven't put it up yet because I am in the process of building a new home. But as soon as that happens, that poster will go right in my office. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, as you should be. And you know that poster and that quote is a good example of our dad, and how he led us, and how or what we've become today.
Yeah.
So a quick to touch on your original quote with darkness can't lead darkness. You know, right now during this pandemic, it's all about positivity, and we have to be the light in the darkness to drive the darkness out, right? So
Yeah.
we have to be that rising sun in the morning, because if we continue to stay dark, it will stay dark. And so we have to change our mindset, stay positive, and know that there is light right at the end of the tunnel, and we have to almost be that light to stay positive and do the right thing. So um, I have two more questions for you. So, what are your top three leadership elements, or what are the top three elements of leadership that you think are most important?
Yeah, good question. There's so many of them, but I think in my experience, the first one for me would be communication. You always heard, oh, and communication is so important in every relationship, right? Like you hear it, and you know it. But the more and the higher I've gone in leadership, the more I've seen how important that communication is. Things falter because of communication, and things are successful because of communication. That is the way it happens. Um, so I think communication is just, I mean, one of the most important things you could do in any relationship, work, personal, as a father, or as a a parent, as a spouse. I mean, it doesn't matter. Communication is so important. Two, I would say mindset. I have always thought mindset is really important, and years now I've been reading a lot about positivity, and I'm just a big fan of that. That was drilled in by dad. I wasn't always the most positive in when I was younger, throwing baseball bats and storming off fields and telling everybody I suck, and I just remember dad always like really honing back into positive attitude. And um, and in recent years, I've just been a huge fan of reading a lot about positivity and watching videos and just feeling good about myself and about our situation, and not like the rainbows and unicorns type of positivity, like really thinking about, okay, how can I get better? How can I make this situation better? Just as you said, how can I be the light? That sometimes we need a light, but sometimes, we are the light for other people. So I think that's my second point there. And the third one, I would say, is like self-awareness, self-reflection, self-awareness, just knowing your weaknesses and knowing your strengths. um, I think are so important. And then reflecting on that, reflecting on situations, reflecting on, um, just anytime you meet with somebody, whether you're the leader or not, how can I do that better? Even if you did well, even if you got the interview, even if you got the job, or you were successful, okay, let's reflect on that. What was a takeaway there? And that might mean, hey, you really killed it on this aspect, and that's why you were successful. You nailed the communication. Now I know I do communication well, so I need to make sure I continue that, to do that strong. And yeah, so I think those would be the three: communication, positive mindset, and being self-aware.
Yeah, and communication is so big to Nick and I, that we have made that one of our core values. We thought it was just so important, as do the other elements that Nick mentioned. So I'm gonna probe you a little bit more on communication. So how about you tell our listeners, our climbers, on how they can build better communication in their lives?
Yeah. So, well, first I would say, just, oh, because again, I'm a big reader now. I would always say, read up on it, find ways to improve. I mean, there's blogs and books upon books upon books written about it, videos about it. So just do your research on how to improve. For me personally, what I've seen is my improvement in communication, or anything for that matter, but through communication, has really been about writing. Um, so we're doing a lot of writing, with our blogs, and I think that as I've been writing things out, those ideas have become more concrete in my own brain. And now that they're more concrete and more solid, I better understand them, and now I'm better to I'm more equipped to communicate that better, right? So if I have a firm belief in, having a positive attitude, right, and I'm writing about it, I'm learning more about myself, but I'm also solidifying my my thesis, I guess, on having a positive mindset. And so now when I'm communicating that, I'm communicating it more clearly because I'm more clear with myself. So just something I think that's important is to maybe just write, journal. It doesn't have to be writing 10,000 words. It can be as simple as doing some journal entries, focusing in on something that you want to become an expert in. But you can communicate it better when it's more solidified in your brain.
Yeah, I noticed that the more I write personally, on a professional level and on a personal level with family life, the more I talk about certain things, and the more I write about them, just like you said, the more it becomes ingrained in me and second nature on how I do things and what I say and how I react. And so it's really just practice, and it's doing it over and over again. We're practicing good ways to communicate, and knowing that your journey's never over, and that you can always be better, right? And to never settle, and always strive to achieve more. So, and which is why Nick and I are here. And so, Nick, do you have anything else you want to tell our climbers before we wrap it up?
Um, I I don't know. I didn't prepare for this interview. One of the things that we were talking about pre-interview was, do I want to know the questions or not? I said not. I want my natural reaction to come out. So I didn't necessarily prepare what I wanted to say. I just, for me, I think that a message I've learned over time with leadership specifically is that there really is a journey. I know I touched upon that already, but it's really a journey. It's not that exactly 20 years ago I knew exactly where I was going to be, because each step of the way there's been it's almost like a video game or a choose your own adventure book. There's something that comes your way. You get to a fork in the road and you decide, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do this. And by taking the one fork, your experience changes. I never would have thought I would have been a principal. I never would have thought that something at the district office would be interesting to me, and at some point I think that's what I want to do. And so, you know, but that's all developed over time through experience, and I think that's an important part of leadership, and just learning. Actually, maybe it's not even leadership; it's just a learning journey that I think is just part of life.
Yeah, so success in life, whether it's in our personal life, professional life, at home, family, whatever, we have to all realize that it's a campaign, and it's never ending, and not to seem that it's never ending and that there's no light at the tunnel. It's just that we're always building and we're always improving, and we're always growing. So, um, Nick and I want to encourage all of our listeners right now, to share some comments with us, reach out to us with questions. Let us help you in your campaign, in growth. Talk to us, and we'd love to hear from you. So, Nick, that's all I got for now. You wanna close it out?
Yeah, I just appreciate everybody listening and taking the time to do that. And I look forward to interviewing you soon.
All right, sounds good. All
All right.
right,
See you, everybody.
all right, bye.